Okay.
Get the audio fixed up.
Sounds good. How's everyone?
Alright, let me turn this off. Alright, we're doing our official mic check. Oh, whoops. Alright, we're doing our official mic check. Alright, we're doing our official mic check to make sure the audio is fine. Guys, when you guys hear Nomivore talk, just let us know if he's too loud or if he's too soft. Just let me know. Just go ahead and start saying some random stuff, Andrew, and we can get this going.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? And I have no idea what the rest of that poem is supposed to sound like, so...
okay, you may be a little bit too loud here. Let me try to turn you down.
Well, of course.
All right, so say some anything normal now.
Greenscale, congrats on the Tink-a-Tink. That's awesome to see. I'm just going at your chat right now, so...
Yeah, all right, what about there, guys? All right, what about there, guys? Is he good right there?
I'm gonna try and make sure that I'm consistent with my voice volume too. So.
All right. Well, I mean, I can increase you and decrease you on both ends as we go. So if everyone's saying that you're good, then I'm cleared for takeoff. So first off, let's get the intro out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the fellow pokeNERDS of the world, welcome to the pokeNERDS Incorporated podcast, a Pokemon exclusive podcast just for us pokeNERDS to sit down, relax, and get to know other fellow content creators in the Poke world itself. I am your host, the Top Goon, your man Spence of the Poke Network. And to my right is our current guest of the evening. He is a man that I met during the Gen 2 Shiny Challenge, and he's actually the man responsible for getting us the last 2 shinies we needed before Celebi, which, by the way, I gave him the Totodile, so credit on me. But anyway, he actually also sent me a little care package that included some amazing stuff, including some graded cards and this cute little guy. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the pokeNERDS Incorporated podcast, Andrew, aka Nomivore.
Hey there, Spence. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be here. As he said, my name is Nomivore, Pokemon content creator, variety streamer here on Twitch, content on YouTube as well. It's good to be here. I'm glad to be able to join you and talk shop about Pokemon, video games, and all the stuff we love.
Yeah, you actually got the first talking point out of the way, just giving yourself a basic introduction.
I read your notes. You're very thorough, so I apologize if I stepped too far. But
okay, now I'm still slightly louder than you. Okay, I adjust them a little bit. All right. Actually, I need to open up my own talking points because. Oh wait, I got my talking points down here on this tablet somewhere. Ah, here we go.
Alyssa, right. Thank you for the comment on my shirt. I do enjoy it.
Oh, also before I forget, I need to adjust the channel point redemptions for the night. So as per usual, with every pod, sorry. So as per usual, with every podcast, there are only going to be 2 channel point redemptions active, aka Hydrate and Ask Us a Question. So anyone can ask us both a question or one of us a question. You just need to specify who the question is for. That's all I ask. And also here's co-host Dominic.
Dominic is adorable.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, he's awesome. He's my baby boy. All right, now we got that out of the way. And we got to hydrate right out of the gate, so.
Cheers to that.
Yep, cheers. All right, so hopefully the audio is good now. So, like I said, guys, if like I said, guys, if there are any audio issues this going forward, just please let me know in the chat, and I'll get them fixed up. All right, so as per the usual, we all have our talking points lined up, and we're just gonna go through them, straight shot, right down the list, and see how we go from here. So, Andrew, the first thing I would like to ask you, or should I say I would like to know about you, is what was the origin of your channel name? Where did Nomivore come from?
I love this story. It's actually one of the things that gets asked a lot on my channel too. Um, Back in 2014, I'm sitting at home and playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2 with a good friend of mine at the time, and we are running around with sniper rifles and ballistics knives, and basically playing Ring Around the Rosie with the enemy team by going into their base, hunting them down, and then when they spawned across the map, shooting them and running circles. So we kept going and doing that, and we kept saying "Om nom nom," I'm in your base eating your cookies, and from there I was like, you know what, omnivores, carnivores, herbivores, and om nom nomivores. So the name actually used to be much longer. And then when I jumped into content creation in the last year and a half, I decided to shorten it down to nomivore to make it a little bit easier to say.
Let's see. That's actually that might be the most interesting origin story I've heard thus far.
Yeah.
I mean,
so there.
Go ahead.
Go for it. So there are like I said, there's carnivores, they eat meat; herbivores, they eat grass; omnivores, they eat a little bit of everything; and then
Yeah.
om nom nomivores are in your kitchen eating your cookies.
Like the Cookie Monster. Give me cookie.
Yep, he's an honorary nomivore.
I can see that. All right, so for those of you who are already following me, you know the origin of my channel name. But for those of you on Nomivore side who don't know much, actually, I used to be known as the Poké Network. I recently rebranded to the Poké Network at the beginning of the year. That's how Nomivore met me. But now he knows me as the Poké Network.
Oh yeah.
So, all right. So the origin of the Poké Network simply came from this. I knew I wanted to be a Pokemon content creator, so I wanted to include Poké in my username. So I also, in college, I used to be really good at networking with people, even though I was a major introvert. So I decided to put, Poké Network and Poké together, so Poké Network. And come to find out that just straight up the word Poké Network was already taken on Twitch. So I didn't really think of putting the at the beginning because, I don't know, I just wanted to try to stand out a little bit more. So I put the S in front of my name, because basically S is my first initial. But little did I know how much chaos it would cause me the past 2 years because everyone mispronounced my name because I couldn't put a hyphen in there and I didn't like using underscores.
So you were the Spoke Network.
Spoke Network, Spokey Network, Poke Network, Poke Network. I mean, oh my god, it was an endless sea of mispronunciations. So, in order to be taken more seriously and also for people to understand what the hell I do, I dropped the S, put in the, and that's how we came to be here.
My brain, when you said you didn't think of the to add it originally, was the Social Network movie where Justin Timberlake's like, drop the.
Drop the. Yeah, I would have dropped the if I could, but I couldn't. But
Let's hope that changes.
Huh?
Let's hope that changes.
What do you mean?
You can get Poké Network.
Yeah, I'm fine staying with the Poké Network. I mean, after all, I already redid my custom sign back here.
Oh, then by all means, stay with it.
Yeah. But also, give us a little bit of information behind your Twitch journey. Like, when did you start, and how long have you been doing this?
That's a fun question. I started content creation and Twitch, technically speaking, back in somewhere around 2010. I was making YouTube videos. I had gotten a standalone camera to take recordings of Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, and I posted those to a YouTube channel. Um, they're still technically up there. I'm not going to tell you where because they're God, you should not go watch them.
Fair
Um,
enough.
but I then the following years as Twitch started taking off, I tried my hand at streaming a little bit. I played Smite, the MOBA at the time. Um, and so I streamed that casually, didn't really make anything of it, was just trying to get through college and work and all that kind of stuff. And then recently I've been blessed with a wife who's allowed me to play some video games. Her and I technically started playing Genshin together a little over a year and a half now ago, and then I used the time that we were spending to do that as a window to play some video games, and her and I have gone back and forth about uh, how much time I give to it and how much time working those things out. But I've been able to for the last year and a half or so commit a couple days a week to playing Pokemon for the most part. I decided to jump in and make that my primary content. Um, as I watched a lot of Pokemon content and interacted with
Hmm.
creators in the space. So it was a lot easier than trying to switch over to watching other people play Genshin.
Like, did you like know you wanted to be a content creator, or did you like something inspire you to start creating content?
So I've been interested in getting into content creation since back when I started with those silly videos. The biggest drawback to me, or the biggest like hurdle for me, has been finding myself some stability in work life and when I was in school, all that kind of stuff that I knew I didn't allot myself enough time to become a dedicated content creator. And we've entered a space where I've got a really good paying job that's good with my hours on it, and I've put ourselves in a place where we now aren't going to be moving anytime soon, all that kind of stuff. So I've been able to try and put some time into it. I'm still kind of at the casual level, but I'm trying to put some more work in around the various spaces in Twitch and YouTube and just create good content.
Yeah, that's a really good goal too. But what got me into content creation in the first place was, various Pokemon content creators I've seen over the years and how I wanted to do what they do. I actually reached out to a content creator on YouTube. I honestly did not know if he would even think about emailing me back or anything. But do you know who MJ TV is?
Yeah.
I actually emailed him, and to my shock, he responded.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's that I think he's that down to earth. So I actually got a response from him. He didn't really give me much information, but he just gave me a few basic pointers, and that's how I got my. I think I emailed him in 2019, but I didn't actually get my start until 2020 because I didn't have the money. And you know what happened in the year we shall not speak of. I pretty
Yeah.
much invested every cent of my incentive to getting my starter setup up and running. So that's what I did, and for 6 months, I really didn't know how to integrate on social media and whatnot. So for 6 months, I honestly was basically doing absolutely nothing. I was grinding, but at the same time, I wasn't improving or growing because I didn't know how to put myself out there on Twitch or Twitter or anything else of that matter. So it wasn't until 2021 where I finally learned that some tricks of the trade, and I was able to finally get affiliated. And then ever since then, it's just been a snowball of anything that's come to pass since then.
Very nice. Yeah, no, that's absolutely, and it provided a window to the year we shall not speak of, where as unfortunate as layoffs or kind of furloughs and things like that were, they provided a lot of people space to step into content creation. So I'm glad you took advantage of that window.
Yeah, I worked in factories, so there wasn't any chance I was gonna get fired. Because especially like I was working at a UPS truck building place, and obviously those were like essential workers, so we weren't basically on the layoff list or basically on the shutdown list.
Gotcha.
All right. I feel like I already know the answer to this question, Andrew. But what is your favorite Pokemon and why?
I want to hear your guess if you think you know the answer.
Let me see if I still have one of them in here to point it out. Um, Lord Smoliv?
It's a solid guess. Lord Smollet is actually my wife's favorite Pokemon.
Oh,
Um,
your wife's. What's yours then?
Mine is Flygon, actually.
Oh, Flygon. Nice.
Yes, it is my absolute favorite Pokemon of all time, ever since Ruby and Sapphire came out.
Just overall design wise, or just you know,
You know,
like
design wise, I love one. I love dragons, just kind of as they are. Most of the dragon designs that come into Pokemon have been tremendous, but um, especially comparing it to the dragons that already existed, it gave the most. Um, I'm a huge D&D fan, at least in the last couple of years, but like relating it to that, it gave the most traditional European dragon feel to me, and I was like, it and the aesthetic of it having kind of bug-like features that didn't stray too far from being a dragon, all of it just kind of clicked in my brain, and uh, been in love with it ever since.
I see. All right. Well, for those of you that already know, and for those of you that don't know, my favorite Pokemon is Obstagoon. When Generation 8 got introduced, I genuinely did not think that there was going to be a single Pokemon in that game that would not well that would let alone join my top 10, let alone overtake Darkrai as my favorite Pokemon of all time. But somehow, when the Galarian Linoon line was introduced, it's like, oh, cool, this thing's getting a new evolution. It's a dark type. I'm just gonna catch it for the dex and whatnot. But then all of a sudden, bam, it evolves into this giant honey badger mongoose-looking thing with the cross arms. I'm like, oh my god, this thing is so fucking cool. It wasn't until I finally got to use Obstagoon is when I started to finally really appreciate it, because not only is this thing an absolute monster when set up with a gut set, it's genuinely one of the coolest Pokemon I have ever seen. I mean, it was a very tough choice, like when I started streaming, to choose my mascot, and I know that Patters for a while used Darkrai as like his co-mascot, and no one was using Obstagoon at the time, so I decided to go with Obstagoon as my mascot, and then once I decided it was my mascot, it eventually became my favorite Pokemon.
Nice. I was that as before you said it, my brain was like, the good question is what was it beforehand? But Obstagoon is an incredible uh, move for the evolution line for Linoon. I really enjoyed seeing that entire line's development when Generation 8 came out as well. Um, it definitely Obstagoon definitely grew on me. It wasn't like, oh, that's amazing. I think I enjoy Galarian Linoon a little bit better personally, but still an awesome Pokemon.
Hold on one second, I gotta respond to this message.
No worries.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, actually, pretty much since BDSP released, Darkrai has been going down on my favorite list.
Oh wow.
I mean, I'm nearly double odds for it, so pretty much Darkrai took a back step, Greninja took over from second.
Gotcha. I actually just started my own Darkrai hunt yesterday. I'm 100 encounters in, so
Yeah, I saw a notification on Twitter. I'm like, oh god, not again.
right.
I keep saying once I get a second capture card, it's gonna get a lot easier, but I don't have it yet, so.
It was an interesting first step into trying to do two full odds hunts at the same time, especially since one of them was Scarlet and Violet. But thankfully, Darkrai and when I eventually get around to Arceus are soft resets, so it's 3 buttons. uh, which is really easy compared to having to run in circles and avoid Pokemon and pay attention to Scarlet and Violet. So,
Yeah, the turbo controller is definitely good. My turbo controller definitely makes it a lot easier on me. All right, next topic of discussion is what is your favorite shiny Pokemon and why?
I hope it doesn't surprise you when I say Flygon. Second place is Umbreon.
Nah, it doesn't really surprise me at all. I mean, sometimes your favorite Pokemon is your favorite shiny, but then there are cases where someone else's favorite shiny is a different Pokemon. So, like, don't get me wrong, Flygon has an amazing shiny, but it's not in like my personal like top list.
Well, I think we're gonna have problems then. I'm kidding. But no, I definitely, when people ask this question in in my chats and stuff, it's my answer is always Flygon and Umbreon. It's really hard to choose between them. I love the vibrant change in Flygon's colors to that nice hue of blue, and I think it's the blue that really gets me because Umbreon's sheer contrast between the black and the blue and how bright they make it, and obviously its kind of luminescent properties in the rings, shiny or not shiny, is it always just clicked in my brain.
I can see that. Yeah, blue shinies definitely are like I would say that blue, black, and red shinies definitely are like in my top tier favorites.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a color profile. It's just, I mean, they've done a very good job with their blue colors for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not all the way across the board that blue shinies are my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, mine should come as no surprise because I just brought up blue, black, and red, and Greninja takes up all three of those colors. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Greninja
And
is a top tier shiny no matter what list you look at.
I finally was able to get one a few weeks ago after, surprisingly not that many eggs. All right, hold on. We got a question in the chat. You can only have one black and white remakes or black and white 2 remakes. Ooh, that's a tough one. How much do you love Gen 5? Is Mike? How much do you love Gen 5?
That's the interesting part of this question. Gen 5 is probably the one generation I could say that I have not played a whole lot of. Um
Oh.
it was very much so in the time I was in school and working a lot, and I didn't have money to spend, so I didn't own the games.
All right. Well,
I have played them since, but I definitely think the answer would be Black 2 White 2. I don't think there's any reason to remove the extra content and kind of continuity they put into it.
I mean, I'm kind of conflicted because I really want to see how End's castle just pops up on a 3D screen.
That would be pretty cool. I
Like
won't
if they
contest you on that.
uh, that's a real tough one for me because I mean we'll get to this topic later, but I love the Gen 5 storyline. I love it so much. So God, I can't choose. I legitimately can't choose because they're both so good to me. But knowing Pokemon's history, they are going to remake the OG versions, not the enhanced versions. So it's probably going to wind up being black and white.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. That's probably going to be the case, but I think it would really be in their best interest because the people who love Gen 5.
I know.
And the people who don't love Gen 5 don't hate Gen 5. Um, so I think it would be in their best interest to, in the course of a remake, actually like bring together both the best worlds for them.
I
So
could see that. Yeah, I could see that. But as long as they don't pull a BDSP, I'll be good.
uh, if only they could have BDS. For all things BDSP, I loved Diamond and Pearl. They should have absolutely gone through and picked at things they knew were problems.
Uh,
There was no excuse for them just direct porting the game. Like they
it's
absolutely should have. Even if they kept the Diamond and Pearl storyline and they didn't address Platinum.
like
Like,
they kept the base code and made it 3D, and it just uh pretty much the same glitches that were there before are here again.
yep. If they had just addressed some of those, and again, I would have been fine with it just being a Diamond and Pearl clone, with things fixed, like the fact that the shiny charm is otherwise useless.
Yes.
I mean, obviously that's that. Being able to, I don't know, exploit the game when you get to Jubilife and beat the game without ever having to do a battle. Yeah, should have fixed those things.
Yeah, they should have. But we'll talk more about games in a bit. But actually, we'll talk about games right now. So, what is actually your favorite Pokemon game and why? This can include the main series or any spin-off games.
So, the game that holds truest to my heart is pretty much anything in Gen 3. So, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald really where my Pokemon journey started actually all the way back in Gen 1.
Uh huh.
I think that'll be a point for later, but Gen 3 was really where I sank my time in, and I reached a point where I was kind of old enough to understand what I was doing. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just playing the game and clicking attack moves. I kind of understood what I was doing,
Like
and
Gen 3. Like Gen 3 is where I got my start, and later on I learned more about it. But yeah,
and then Pokemon Coliseum is the real answer there, though.
Pokemon Coliseum.
Yep, good old GameCube. That game was incredible. A marvel for its time in the world of Pokemon.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
back.
I played I played XD, but I didn't play the OG Coliseum.
I'd recommend it highly. I'm actually going to be going back at some point here in the next couple of months, getting my GameCube out of the closet, plugging in Pokemon Coliseum, and doing some full odds hunting on there, with the intent of trying to bring it all the way up to Gen 9. So we'll see how that fares.
I applaud you there. But I actually didn't do it on a GameCube. I actually did it on an emulator. I did it last year, and it was one of the funniest games I have played. It was one of the coolest and funniest.
Yeah, XD is also awesome. I just like when you put both of them side by side. Uh, I just, for nostalgia purposes, for the amount of time I put into it, and for just where it sits in my head, Coliseum is the better game for me.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I can
it's
understand.
probably because it's grittier too. Because you play the antagonist turn protagonist, and there's it's a little bit. I mean, grittier is the only word I can really use
Yeah,
compared to
I
being
can.
a child's adventure.
Yeah, I can understand that. But the way I tell people that what my favorite Pokemon game is, it's that I literally divide it between like three different categories. I say I involve the story, the overall decks, and then the overall game. So favorite line, I mean, we just talked about this, but my favorite Pokemon games storyline wise are the Gen 5 games. They're borderline the most mature, the most well designed, and most like thought out storylines of any main series game out there. I mean, Scarlet and Violet went on a darker road than they have in years, but still, the fact that there's just so much in depth Gen 5 story, it's unreal. Like, I mean, a lot of people love to hate on it because it was supposed to be like a soft reboot of the series, but then as the years go on, people realize how good they had it.
Oh yeah, I agree with
So,
you there. That the story is definitely the best, and I think the only point of contest that could be seen there would be Gen 1 if it was made today, because Red's journey, uh, if you read the manga, is
yeah,
insane in terms of, like, those kind of more real themes, and I think that fall just in line with the way they built Gen 5's story.
yeah, exactly. So, in terms of overall decks, my favorite game is Platinum. Even though there's missing a few dark types, I just love like the amount of Pokemon and amount of amazing Pokemon you can get in Platinum's Pokédex, especially because of the new evolutions that got introduced in the Platinum games on compared to Diamond and Pearl. Like Electivire is still in my top 10 favorites based on almost aesthetics alone.
Agreed.
But overall game, I have to give the crown to Heart Gold Soul Silver. It has to be.
I'm not gonna contest you on that. That is absolutely the best Nintendo DS, Pokemon game that they made.
Yeah, I would put Sword and Shield a lot higher on this list, but like, at, I mean, I don't hate the games at all. This is where I got my start, but I mean, at the begin, I mean, I know there's like two different DLCs, but at the same time, they could have done a lot more with the main game.
Absolutely, and the interesting part about the Switch games is it really feels like Let's Go and Sword and Shield were both experiments, and even
Mm-hmm.
then, PLA was also an experiment, and Scarlet and Violet is kind of really the first bringing together of those experiments, which in and of itself makes it an experiment. So I'm really looking forward to what happens when they settle those ideas in and create a like a true masterpiece on the Switch.
Yeah, I mean we'll get talking about that later on, but now we need to move on to our hated talk. Actually, hold on. Hold on. Wait, I forgot. I missed a point. What's your favorite type and why?
That's actually a really tough question. I thought about it for a little bit. And where I always lean when I think of types and like what Pokemon aesthetically I vibe with, and it doesn't always line up with what I end up using in the games, for sure. But the two that I kind of lean into are ground or steel types,
Ground or
actually.
steel?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I mean your favorite
and
Pokemon is a ground type, so that would make
I
sense as to why.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple more on the top of the list are Bastiodon and Aggron, are kind of in the top 10 there. But whenever I'm thinking of what Pokemon would I vibe with, if you ask the question, what Pokemon would you want to have in real life? If the answer is not immediately Flygon, generally somewhere in there is a ground and steel types. Um, Steel types just have such a fun flavor to building out pseudo machines and these really sturdy constructs when I play like RPGs. It's always great sword classes and bulky tanky kind of play styles, and both ground and steel vibe with that same thing. So
Yeah, I can understand that. Well, I hold no secret to my favorite type being the dark type. I
wait,
mean,
what?
after all, my what?
What? Who would have thought that? Sorry.
I mean, I hold no secret. My top 5 favorite Pokemon are all dark types. I mean, Obstagoon, Greninja, Darkrai, Hydreigon, and Umbreon. I mean, if that didn't make it obvious, I don't know what will.
Fair enough. I mean, all great Pokemon too.
Yeah, I know. I can go on and on about the drawbacks of Hydreigon, but that's not why we're here. I mean, we could talk
That's
more about it
another.
later. I mean, we talk more
That's
about it
another day.
later. Yeah, that's another day. All right. Now that we got that topic out of the way, now we can go on to our least favorite categories, starting with our least favorite Pokemon and why. So, hit me.
Least favorite Pokemon. Oh, not something I think about often. Really not something I think about often. And there's any number of them. I think things like Amoonguss, Fungus and Amoonguss. I don't know why. I just don't ever. I've never really liked them. Uh, but it's really hard for me. It's always been hard for me to say what's my least favorite Pokemon. Um, Least favorite shiny, which is a question I think we'll get to here in a little bit, is a whole different story because that one's much easier. But I don't
Yeah.
really have a Pokemon that I don't like per se. I know I understand things as a so small side note. My real life profession is video game programmer. So
Mm-hmm.
from design aesthetics and things like that, I don't ever see bad Pokemon because I can understand where they fit within the space of the game and the environments they're supposed to live in and things like that. So I understand why that. So it's really hard for me to say I don't like a Pokemon.
Well, I think I can accept your answer as like Fungus or Amoonguss right there.
Yeah, that's the answer. Is Fungus Amoonguss. They're the ones I think of when I'm like, what Pokemon do I just not like when I see it? And it's going to be those.
All right. Well, like I said, for those of you on the Nomivore side, you don't know what my least favorite Pokemon is, and believe it or not, it's actually a Dark type. I I religiously despise a lowland Persian. So here's the details why. So when I saw that Meowth was getting glaring for him, I was like, they just put some black fur on his name, fancy it up. But then all of a sudden it evolves and like, what the actual fuck is this? The freaking watermelon head, the derpy, smarky look, and then on top of that, the Pokemon community has been waiting, was waiting so many years for there to be something even remotely similar to a dark type gym. And we finally got it before Piers and Marnie, with Nanu being the dark type kahuna. And out of all the Pokemon, I mean, I get that Gen 7 was lacking in dark types, but he could have had an Alolan Muck, and that would have made the battle a lot harder. But no. He had to choose that stupid, wanna punt to the sun cat that just ruins my day every time I see it. And on top of that, my mod, Shrix the Lion, paid 100,000 channel points to make me hunt its pre-evolution via eggs.
Oof.
Yeah. I hated every second of the 4 hours I spent hatching for those things. But my Sword and Shield Masuda luck was on my side because I got it at 192.
Ooh, good number.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it was 4 hours. It sounded like the hunt went pretty well, which is a pretty good mercy on you for that.
Yeah. But still. I just want to punt that cat to the sun.
I can agree with you, and I can understand your frustrations with it as a dark type master yourself. And they tried to go for that fat cat, and they didn't. They restricted themselves from moving away from Persian too much, and I think that they realized the errors of their way, at least when they came out with Berserker, and just stepped all the way away from Persian's design for that. So
I would have been irate if Berserker was Galarian Persian.
Again, I think they learned their lesson, so.
Yeah, thank God they did. Because I never want to see anything like a Alolan Persian ever again. Alright, you said you had a least favorite shiny in mind, so what is it?
It's pretty straightforward. There's two of them, and the reason for it is exactly the same. It's Gengar and Slowpoke.
Gengar and Slowpoke. I can understand why.
They are, and I will say, in Gen 9, Gengar has stepped up above, and so now the only one that I don't like is Slowpoke. Because in Gen 9, both Gengar and Garchomp, they're blacks. The gray, mottled gray that they have was accentuated upon, and you can actually see it now. Still not better than when it was purple or blue way back in the day, but Slowpokes, it's almost impossible to see.
Yeah,
I found one the other day, but
yeah, I tend to not to go after shinies that I can barely identify, which is actually the topic of my least favorite shiny. Originally, I was gonna say Regice, because how almost non-existent that shiny characteristic is, but surprisingly, Gen 9 created an even worse shiny for me. The whole Charcadet / Armarouge / Ceruledge line.
Oh god, yeah.
Beyond disappointed. They could have easily just swapped the color schemes of Ceruledge and Armarouge, and they would have been pitch perfect. But no. What did they do? All they did was change their eye color. That's it. It pisses me off so much that some of the coolest new Pokemon introduced have such lame shinies.
So much wasted potential on that. Yeah, I agree with you on that 100%. I mean, that's... I'm even going to take it into consideration when evaluating my least favorite shinies moving forward as well.
Yeah, that's yeah, very disappointed with those guys. All right, so we know your favorite type. What's your least favorite type?
Dark. Just kidding.
Actually, my first guest legitimately hates dark types, and he's like my best friend, so it wouldn't have hold no malice. So what is? Whoa, crap!
Yeah, breaking stuff.
No, he's being a little naughty boy, just trying to jump into things he's not supposed to. But anyway, continue.
So for my least favorite type, God, going around, it's probably got to be the bug type.
The
I
bug type,
just,
eh?
it's not because I don't like bugs. It's because as much as it's a pretty straightforward type, the designs have almost always been so uninspired. And I think that Beedrill is one of the best bug types, and I cannot process too many more when I think, oh, what's a good bug type? Um,
Like when I think bug types, I think Vikavolt.
yeah, that would be another one again, but that's two out of how many Orbeetle for the UFO? But like three out of how many bug types are inspired designs? The
Mm-hmm.
rest of them are just literally bugs. So,
Yeah, I can understand that.
and they were underutilized for far too long. So there's no redeeming in-game fact to having them either.
I mean, when I was playing Gen 7, I almost always had a bug type on my team. Whether it was Vikavolt or Araquanid, I mean, I gained more respect for the bug type ever since Gen 7.
Yeah, but they had really strong other types that they were useful for. Like they
True.
got great bug type moves, and it was useful if you ran across a dark type or a psychic type. But I had a Vikavolt on my team, and it was definitely because it was an electric type.
Oh yeah, no question about mine. Always love the electric coverage. But my least favorite should also come as no surprise. It's the fairy type. There's literally only two fairy types I like: Gardevoir and Grimmsnarl. The rest of them, some of them I don't even understand why the hell they're even fairies. Like, can you like honestly explain to me why they chose Granbull and Snubbull to be fairy types? It makes no sense.
The only explanation I could give you for Snubble would be it's pink.
Exactly. That's what everyone else says. And also, I miscorrected. A Togekiss. I love Togekiss. So three fairy types I can stand.
Togekiss is awesome. Its shiny could be a lot better, but
That I can also agree with. But Granbull makes zero sense.
yeah, no. Well, it makes no sense being a normal fairy type. If it was a dark fairy type, I
I
could
mean,
see I could see conceptually that being a little bit better. It wouldn't make sense still as a fairy type, but it'd be better than normal fairy.
I couldn't see Granbull being a dark type. I mean, obviously the tusks might symbolize something, but I mean, Granbull is just like most dogs, like most dog breeds can be misunderstood breeds, and they really aren't dark types. It's just really, I mean, you know what I mean?
Fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, it being a fairy type just because it's pink.
But yeah, if just fairy types being pink, I mean, that can obviously, like, like, I mean, just by color scheme alone, you really don't need to put the fairy type on. It's like, oh, this typing's coloration is pink. That Pokemon's pink. Bam, it's a fairy type now.
Well, they do. I mean, just to make the concept simple, right? Because it is supposed to be a children's game, right? All the types have an associated color, and a lot of them fall into those color schemes. I think returning to bugs is, it's pretty obvious they're bugs, but fire, water, grass, dark, all kind of fall in line with that color scheme. Steel, ground, generally, they're those associated hues. And so I think when they were going through and saying, what old Pokemon could we revive potentially, put air quotes around revive, but what Pokemon could we revive by adding it to the new fairy type that we're introducing in Gen 6? So
Yeah. Yeah. Those are also, standalone points, so I can understand that.
It doesn't need to change your mind, obviously, and I know it's not
I mean,
going to.
obviously not gonna change my mind. I fucking hate fairy types. They added an extra weakness to the dark type.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Y'all needed it though.
They did not need it.
Well, your two weaknesses were fighting, which is very obvious. Well, which is very kind of prevalent in most games, but then bug. And well, we just went over why I don't like bug types. So
Who knows? All right. Out of all the Pokemon games, which one is your least favorite?
main series and spin-offs, right?
Yes, main series and spin-off. So it could be either a main series or a spin-off game.
Um, we're gonna have to go and look at um honestly probably Sun and Moon. I think they did a lot of really good things in that game, but like that there's a reason they came out with Sun and Moon 2 or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And
Yeah.
that was to correct a lot of things that were just not good. And I also it was also the first, again, kind of an experiment. They stepped away from the 8 gym ideology, and I think that they stepped way too far outside of it. So
I can agree on that. Yeah, I mean, most of the time when somebody even wants to play a Gen 7 game, they don't actually play Sun and Moon because Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is what Sun and Moon should have been in the first place.
yeah. I will give Sun and Moon this credit. It was my first like real foray into shiny hunting.
Same here.
But from a like it being a Pokemon game standpoint, it just strayed too far. And as you said, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon got it right.
Yeah. I mean, on top of that, like, the storylines are almost identical except for the additions of the Ultra Recon Squad and the extra areas that have been put into the game. So basically it makes Sun and Moon completely irrelevant. Like when you compare Black 2 and White 2 to Black and White, it's 2 years into the future, and it's it's pretty much a completely different game. But when you put Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon together, it's pretty much the same exact game, except this is actually a legit enhanced version.
Yeah.
It's like Emerald.
Right. It was the exact same storyline, but done better to address the fact that they made mistakes.
It's also the same way with Platinum because they made the fire type guy only have 2 fire types.
Yeah, no, that's always a fun thing to see. So I can't believe they gave the fire type leader. They only put 3 fire types in the entire region,
2.
and then had a fire type Elite Four.
2. Oh wait, there was only like
Magmar.
2 fire.
Magmar, Ponyta, and Chimchar, which obviously they weren't gonna. They back then they
I don't
weren't gonna
remember I don't remember Magmar being in the game. But anyway, that's it. But yeah, I mean, Ponyta and Chimchar were obviously the 2, but I don't remember Magmar being in that game.
I might be misremembering then.
Who
Oh
knows?
well.
That's not what this is about. But like when I tell people my favorite, like something like my top 10 list compared to my least favorite game, they're like, really? So I don't like X and Y. I don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Greninja. I love Yveltal, but I just hate the games. I mean, I like you keep saying, like they're always experimenting with new things. Like, so the 3D was obviously an experiment, but the games were so freaking easy. Like, I mean, I get it's made for kids, but when you put a seasoned veteran against this, they're like, wow, this is a freaking cakewalk.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. Like, every time I've played through X and Y, I've always used a Greninja, and like half the time I don't even use the other Pokemon because Greninja freaking kills everything.
Right. Well, and that was the first argument, right? That game in and of itself is the first argument for difficulty levels. in Pokemon. Because very much so, Sword and Shield, right? We've reached the point in this journey where XP share is always on and works for everything at all times. And it's like, you need to be able to let us turn that off. You need to be able to let us have those difficulties so we can challenge ourselves and we don't have to come up with these really roundabout Nuzlocke rules where as much as Nuzlocke rules are really fun and people have been very creative with them, I
Mm-hmm.
choose not to battle things because I don't want to get experience. I choose not to buy items because I don't want to have to use them. So, they're putting the onus on us instead of developing a game that they know features that we know we'd use.
And also to note, um, they did literally nothing with post game, almost nothing.
Great. Yeah.
Like I mean, obviously there was the bird and Zygarde, and going to whatever town that was that had the Battle Mason, but that was it. Like, there could have been a lot more. Like, there's areas in the game that are like blocked off to us, and we're like, hey, why can't we go there? Like in the power plant area, there's like multiple structures you can't access, and it's like, why can't we go in there? What's over there? It'd be really
Right.
cool if we could have, but we didn't.
Well, and if you look at the next point as well, is that it wasn't until Sun and Moon that we really got a Zygarde-esque storyline either. So they waited till the entire next generation to give
That is
us
also
the Gen 6 Legendary.
that is also true. But also for people that didn't have the internet at the time and didn't know this, how many hours did people waste trying the shiny hunt Zygarde?
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Yeah. I mean, I never tried the shiny hunt. I never tried to reset over the legendaries, but I feel sorry for anyone who didn't have access to the internet or didn't know Cerebi.net posted about shiny locks and whatnot. I feel so sorry.
Right? That's a whole lot of time wasted. Even if you only did like 500 before you saw it, that's a whole lot of time wasted.
Hydrate you nerds.
Kampai.
Yeah. All right. So now we go into some nitty gritty details about your experiences. So, what can you recall as your very first experience with Pokemon? You said you played the OG games, but did anything else happen before then?
So the OG games were definitely my first actual foray into Pokemon. I had both Red and Blue. My parents were kind enough to buy me both.
Uh-huh.
Um, and in fact, not too terribly long ago, I relocated my old Game Boy Color. Um, I still
Sick.
have I still have my Red and Blue cartridges as well. I think the Red
Even
needs a new
sicker.
battery, unfortunately, but um,
My brother-in-law has an OG copy of Crystal.
I have my Silver. I never owned Crystal. Um, But yeah, the Red and Blue games were definitely my first foray. When I found out what Pokemon was, I watched the anime immediately as soon as it came out. I collected Pokemon cards. I almost lost my. I don't think it was a first edition, but I almost lost my base set Charizard to some older kid in the neighborhood who was being an absolute dickwagon. I had a lot of fun playing Pokemon as a child, and it was 1998 when it became available in America. It was all hands on deck for me.
Sorry, another message I gotta respond to.
You're good.
But yeah, Actually, the anime is Oh wait, what color Game Boy Color did y'all buy? I mean, obviously yours is right there, so you can put blue.
It's the like blue green model that they had because they did have like a royal or a navy blue version as well.
I
This
remember
was just
playing
blue
on a
green.
Game Boy Color, but I don't remember what color it was. I think it was yellow, but I didn't actually buy it.
Please stay standing. Thank you. Don't touch the stuff in the background. It never stays where it's supposed to.
Like, I still need to get a nerd cabinet for my back area because my desk is cluttered with with stuff.
Same. I actually the desk I'm sitting on is like 5 feet from the wall, so you can see how close the bookshelves are, and I have a whole nother 6 feet behind it that I need to move and rearrange the room again. So that's an endeavor and a half.
Yeah, I can understand that. Like when I get a nerd cabinet, I gotta rearrange my whole back wall.
But speaking of your back wall, I love the Aragon poster that's back there.
I actually didn't know it was Aragon until someone pointed it out to me. Like, I mean, I got it in a box that had the Aragon eye on it, but I'm like, I thought it was just a regular like dragon's eye cult thing, but I didn't know it was Argon until someone in chat said, "Nice Argon poster." I was like, "Wait, this is Argon?" Then I looked it up. It was like, "Oh crap, it is." I never knew.
We're
And
huge
believe it or not,
fans.
that puzzle's and believe it or not, that puzzle's made. It's not a poster. It's a puzzle.
Oh,
Everything like, hold on. Let me go here. So almost all of this is puzzles. Hold on, let me up my camera a little bit so you can see the actual full setting. The top one's a puzzle, Eye's a puzzle, Evolution's a puzzle, the small Pokemon right there is a puzzle, and the rest of them are posters and Guinness certificate and my sign.
oh wow, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, the Argon puzzle is actually made out of wood.
I'm gonna have to figure out where to find one of those. My wife would love it.
I'm pretty sure you can buy the Evolution stained glass one on like Amazon for like $40-50.
That might be going on my throne later.
Yeah. All right. So, like you, I got more into the to the Pokemon world thanks to the anime. So, like the first batch of episodes I ever watched was like from a cassette tape that my brother owned, and it contained the 3 of the OG episodes: Pokemon Shipwreck, The Island of Giant Pokemon, and Tentacool and Tentacruel. I mean, I can't believe, I don't know how many times I've watched those over and over and over and over and over again. But still, I just fell in love with the Pokemon anime. But then, you know, I actually then I got kind of introduced to the card game, and I didn't know how to play, and I still don't. But I never really collected the cards at the time. But from my childhood, the probably the only cards I could say that are worth anything today, if anything, are they in this box or in another box? I got one of the OG Charizard cards, but I'm pretty sure it's not worth that much.
I know the base set. If it's not the first edition, the base set's worth like 150 maybe. But it's not till you get the first editions that you really see anything that's worth like a lot.
Yeah,
So.
I honestly don't know. But then I started playing the actual games. First Pokemon game I ever got my hands on was Pokemon Sapphire. I actually played Red and Blue a little bit afterwards. I'm like, what the crap is this? Because I didn't know how to play a Gen 1 game. So I just stuck with the Gen 3 games. But then I really started understanding how to play Pokemon in Diamond and Pearl. I mean, I played Fire Red and Leaf Green, but even then I was just still attacking everything. I didn't think about strategy.
What do you mean Mega Punch isn't the best move in the game?
Who said that?
No one.
Oh.
Just the idea of, yeah, all I'm gonna do is attack. What do you mean Mega Punch isn't good for doing that?
I remember in the anime, one of the OG episodes, that professor tries to get a Slowbro to evolve with the Shelter, and he kept trying to have it use the Mega Punch, and it didn't know how to freaking use the move.
Slow.
All right, so the next topic I'd like to talk about is some shared experiences where we share some of our coolest / strangest moments that we've had regarding Pokemon. These can be like off-screen moments, on Twitch moments. Just as long as it involves Pokemon, you're okay with sharing it. You got the floor. So, what do you got for us? What juicy tidbits do you got?
All right. Let's see. So one of my first just like the first one is first major full odds hunts that I did kind of the entirety of BDSP. I did a SBQ for basically the first playthrough and the only playthrough I did of the game. And I got through it with some absolutely insane luck. In terms of finding the shinies. There was only one minor hiccup to the pace at which I found it, and that was my shield on hunt, my shield on resets. But I found Turtwig in 634
Mm-hmm.
resets. I found Palkia in 1241 resets. I found it took me like 1500 or so encounters in Eterna Forest, which was actually 700 because I was double counting because there were two of them.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then my Masuda luck in that game, obviously from what happened during the Gen 2 Shiny Challenge, that was not the first time I was that lucky with the Masuda because all the Gen 4 Pokemon that I hatched, which was Togepi and Elekid, speaking of Electivire, um, I got in well under odds, like a couple 100 to 200 per each of those. Shieldon took me 6,000 uh, fossils before I
Brutal.
found it. So that's where I got paid back, all of it in full with a little interest. Um,
Uh,
but
so,
my all of my luck in that game was insane.
well, um, it took me 5 years to get a shiny Electivire, dude. 5 fucking years.
Was that back in the original Diamond Pearl Platinum?
No, I started hunting in Sun and Moon, and then in Sword and Shield, and then in PLA. Guess which game I got it in?
Diamond and Pearl, BDSP.
Yeah, PLA.
Oh, okay, okay.
All right, well that's not my craziest moment there. I am unlike you. I did an SBQ too, but I did it in Let's Go. But I
Ooh.
screwed up at the start, big time. So for those of you that don't know, shinies are actually locked at the beginning of the game. You can't find a shiny in Let's Go until you've at least entered the Viridian Forest and unlocked the big and small Pokemon. And I didn't know that. And I literally sat right here for 12 hours straight looking for a Nidoran and nothing popped up. Because it was impossible and I didn't know. 12 hours of my life gone because I was stupid.
Learned something new today.
Yeah, so for those of you that want to do an SBQ and Let's go into the Viridian Forest before anything. But that's not the craziest thing that happened in that game. Also, for those of you that don't know, you can actually get the shiny variants of the Alola Pokemon through the trades in Let's Go. They're not locked, but you have to trade consistently to find them. In total, it took me 3 months and 4,041, just slightly below odds, for a shiny Alolan Vulpix, which is one of my most popular Twitch clips and as of right now, my most popular TikTok.
Oh wow, that's insane. So nice that
Yeah,
you didn't go over odds, of course.
obviously. Also, there was my modest-natured shiny Gyarados. Finding my last two shinies within the last hour or so, like the first half an hour of the stream, and then the last one I needed at the last hour. So in total, it took me 10 months. It took me just a little over 10 months to finish that run. But it could have been a lot longer. I mean, a lot shorter if I didn't go for the Vulpix. But I love Alolan Ninetales. Oh yeah, so yeah, that's 4 fairy Pokemon I can stand. I gotta keep saying, I gotta update this list of fairy Pokemon I can actually stand.
Right? Because some of them are like, yeah, it's an ice type. Oh wait, it's also fairy.
But yeah, some of my other craziest moments, like on stream, happened. The Gen 1 shot, the original 151 challenge. I got my Guinness participation certificates along my wall right there, and I'm gonna get more once the Gen 2 records finally get approved.
Yeah, I wasn't actually a part of the 151. I got to see, all the Twitter posts and people streaming it and stuff, but I didn't actually participate. So I only got the Gen 2 participation, and we've glanced over it a couple of times, but I came in I had to go to work the day that it started, and when I
Same here.
finally got to be involved, what was it? 17 hours of the event had passed, and so I hopped on, started going for I looked at what Pokemon were remaining, got set up to start hunting for, I think it was Miltank, and then 5 minutes later Miltank got claimed, I think by Smarpy.
Yeah,
I was
that
like,
was
all right,
smart.
cool. Switch targets. And it just, but that same Ariados, Ledian, like it didn't matter. All the way until we got up to Houndour. Um, I went through 90 eggs on the dot, found the Houndour,
Yes,
and
and I remember
you know,
that.
and that was shortly, I think, after I had finally met you for the first time. I had popped into your chat because you were doing it, and I was like, I don't have a whole lot of viewership, so I'm just gonna go and chat in other people's kind of communities, and I found you,
Yeah, and
introduced myself, and
I didn't even know that you were actually live doing this until all of a sudden, bam! It's like, oh, that was you. When I saw
yeah,
the Houndour clip, I was like, wait, that was you.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
that was when we connected, and you handed over a Totodile.
yeah, I still think that that Totodile that came from a different game was why the Masuda didn't work. I still believe it to this day. But you found the last two we needed. I really wanted to claim for Alligator, but you got the second Totodile. I was like, dude, go ahead and get this out of the way. Because that for
Yep.
Alligator was keeping us from the record, except for Celebi.
Yeah, but they had Celebi locked and ready to go. They
Yeah,
obviously,
we just needed for Alligator, and then you came in and bam.
yep, and 100. It was like 102, 102 eggs for the first Totodile, and I was chatting. Obviously, I was chatting with you during this event, and you're like, "Hey," I was like, I got a Totodile," and we were going back and forth, and you were like, "Evolve it to Croconaw. I'd love to be able to get the Feraligators. I'm still going." So I actually went down to the underground, trained it up real quick, got it into a Croconaw. I was like, "All right, I got the Croconaw, got it submitted." And we still needed the Feraligator, so I'm like, I'm just gonna start hatching more eggs because this is what I'm here to do. Um,
Exactly. Like, it doesn't
I've
matter
planned.
what
I've
anyone
planned
else
to go
says,
all
just do
night.
your thing.
I've planned to go all night for this event.
I almost went a full
And
24 hours.
I ended up at 17 before my brain stopped working.
Yeah,
Um,
like, my brain and body stopped working at about hour 19.
but yeah, so I hatched 10 more. It was like 10 or 11 more eggs, and the second Totodile hatched. And that sealed the deal on the Gen 2 Shiny Challenge.
I
All
was
because I decided your stream was the one I wanted to. I was like, he's streaming the Gen 2 challenge. Let's go say hello. Chose the right stream.
Indeed, it was. And I will say, I did finally get that shiny Totodile around the
Yeah.
100 and some eggs. I don't
Nah.
remember the exact number, but it was like 100 and like between 100 and 102 1 and 200. Yeah, Lisa, it was fate. I can definitely agree on that. It was fate.
100%. I was happy when I found the Houndour. I was like, yes, I participated. And I had, it was awe striking that I was the one that got what is officially the second to last Pokemon in the Dex. But
Yeah, the 151 challenge, I initially wasn't even supposed to be in it, but literally the day before, one of my friends, Tiny Tina, said to Nomi, like, hey, this guy's really cool, can we invite him in? And she did. I got invited in. And little did I know how epic it would be, because I found a freaking Dragonite.
jeez. So
Yeah.
so it was very much so like the Gen 2 Shiny Challenge. It didn't matter what game you found it in, as long as it was a Pokemon that was originally from Gen 1, right?
Yeah, exactly. You could have we hunted in Let's Go, Arceus, Fire Red Leaf Green, X and Y. We hunted in pretty much any game as long as it was a Gen 1 Pokemon. But yeah, that
Where'd
pretty
you
much
find your
set
Dragonite?
What?
Which game did you find the Dragonite in?
Let's Go.
Okay.
I was going for Nidoram, and the Dragonite just popped out from the sky. I literally saw its little green tootsies, and I was like, oh my god. And I Master Balled it because I didn't want to lose it. that set
Valid plan.
my road in all future shiny challenges because I'm now dubbed the pseudo collector because I got Tyranitar in the last one.
That's a good thing to go. That's a good thing to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, during the Gen 3 challenge, I gotta go for 2 of them, so I got my work cut out for me.
Which one are you gonna go for first?
I'm gonna if I can double hunt by then, I'm gonna go for both at the same time.
Trying to think.
Yeah, there's a cave in Violet where you can like multiple like come in with Bagons.
Oh, Scarlet and Violet is gonna change the pace that gets finished at so much.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, I still gotta figure out what I want to do specifically for Metagross, but I'll get down to brass tacks. You know, when the time comes.
Crown
Are there any other
Tundra
crazy?
random encounters.
I...
Any other crazy stories? Before we got into the Gen 2 shiny discussion, I had one in my brain, and I don't know why I can't remember it now. You know, you know what? I can actually elaborate a little bit earlier. I said that there was the neighbor kid that almost took my Charizard, and uh, dumb little me was like, "Yeah, let's play some Pokemon trading card games." And mind you, I had no idea how the game worked. Not a single clue uh, how to apply energy cards, how to use the Pokemon moves properly, and the kid, it didn't matter. He was like 4 years older than me. Decided, yeah, I'll play with you, and we can play for keeps. Essentially, he was trying to play me for pink slips, and after like 3 or 4 quote unquote lost. Well, actually, no. Let me correct that. Every time that you were able to knock out an opponent's Pokemon, you would take their card. And this went on for like 15 minutes of him just taking my entire deck before my mom stormed out and like gave him an earful, and then we no longer talked to that family on the block. So that was oh, that's the other story. I got the other one in my head. I don't know if this is a fever dream or not, but I was playing through Fire Red Leaf Green, heading to the Elite Four, and I come across this trainer. Think, okay, cool, another roadblock to getting to the Elite Four. Lo and behold, get started fighting this trainer. I don't even remember what trainer it was. Throws out a shiny Vaporeon.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been told since that there are instances in Fire Red Leaf Green where trainers, the shiny value on certain trainers does actually get rerolled. And I encountered a shiny Pokemon in Fire Red and Leaf Green that I had to murder.
Wow. Oh, and just to put this out there, you can Masuda Bell them. You don't need to do random encounter.
I know, but it's a very high rate of encounter in the Crown Tundra on the mountain.
Yeah, well, I got better Masuda luck.
I'm not going to tell
I mean,
you to go one way or the other.
I mean, I just got a shiny Toxel at 247 in my shield copy, so I'm still a Masuda Juggernaut. I honestly average 80% of the time within the first 300 eggs for a shiny in Sword and Shield.
I don't like my Masuda luck in Sword and Shield. Correction, I
Well,
don't like Ralph in Sword and Shield.
well, everyone's got their preferred method of hunting in Sword and Shield, and mine is Masuda, at least in my Shield copy.
Yeah, no, I actually really like Masuda hunting in Sword and Shield, but I have an emote on my channel that is a shiny Gallade doing a facepalm because I decided Masuda hunting for Ralts, a male Ralts, was the way I wanted to go. I phased 4 times before the 5th shiny was a shiny male,
I see.
and in total, it took 3,600 eggs.
Wow.
I had 3 over odds phases.
Oh, Shay made some of your emotes too. Shay made that?
Yep, Shay made that as well.
Shay made a batch of my emotes too.
Tremendous emote artist. God, all of her work is so good.
Yeah, she made. Actually, she redrew one of my OG emotes, but she made these 5 for me, and also
Oh, yep.
these 2.
Oh my gosh, I love the Hydreigon
I
Tappy.
know, I know. Technically, it's supposed to be like a band hammer, but when we saw it, when we were going over designs, it's like the hammers would have looked a little bit goofy, so we decided to just have its heads just go bam, bam, bam.
Oh man. Yeah, I need to get a Tappy emote. I was actually thinking about commissioning Shay to do one that was just a trap inch and it was just banging its giant head on the table.
That'd be really cool.
So, because it's either going to be that or it's going to be Flygon.
Yeah, I can understand that. All right, so now we're gonna go down to the point of the podcast where I basically just did a Google search and I looked up any Pokemon related news and we discuss it. So everyone saw the direct on Wednesday, so it should come as no surprise that we finally are getting fucking legacy content on the Switch.
Finally putting out the virtual console stuff.
Yep, finally. And the only Pokemon related thing that got introduced that day, which didn't surprise me, was like the Pokemon trading card game online. So it begs the question, Pokemon Day is literally 18 days away. No, wait, 16 days away on the 27th. On top with actually, we could pretty much discuss Pokemon Day in general for like the remainder of the podcast, but like on top of the stuff that we want to see introduced, do you think that they're gonna say that these old school Pokemon games are now gonna be available on the Virtual Console for Nintendo Switch?
I believe there's a very strong chance. I would love to say that they're going to or they're not going to, but obviously they're going to do whatever the hell they want. I think that there's a very strong chance that they release. I'm trying to think which ones they put on the Virtual Console on the DS, and I think that they didn't put Ruby and Sapphire on the DS because you could technically on Nintendo DS itself you could put the original DS, you could put the cartridge in and play Ruby and Sapphire on it. So they only put the games that weren't compatible on the Virtual Console there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think we'll see Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald if we see games on the Virtual Console.
Uh-huh.
Just because that would be the next logical progression, similar to what they do where they bring gens back at a time.
Like
Um,
that would have been a lot easier for me and Trix last year because we actually did a type lock race in Ruby and Sapphire. And unfortunately, during one of the streams, his game crashed because we were doing it on emulators. So we lost a day's worth of progress because he forgot to save.
oh, yeah, but
Yeah.
I think and I think that it would be very easy for them to also add red, blue, silver, gold, and crystal, which they've already got out on Virtual Console. I think it'd be very easy for them to add. I think
Yeah.
that if they have a limit of what they can add, just like from a business standpoint, essentially, they'll add the Gen 3 games and reserve the others for another time.
Yeah, I hope so. So, so obviously, one thing I'm hoping that we finally see, um, with Pokemon Day coming up and they announce this stuff, like isn't the update, the official update for Scarlet and Violet supposed to be releasing either during the first week of March or at the end of this month?
They definitely said that the first updates would be coming at the beginning of the year, and same thing that they did with. I'm a very strong proponent of the fact that what they did last year with PLA and the updates that they did right on Pokemon Day is going to happen again. And
I'm pre-
I don't think we'll get the DLC, but we'll get the first round of patches for Scarlet Violet.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a DLC coming to this game because there's obviously a giant area of the map that's blocked off. Like,
Yep.
we didn't even know that they added areas into Sword and Shield until the DLC, or should I say, they put it in the source code of Sword and Shield until we got the DLCs. Like, we didn't know there was an island off the coast, and we didn't know that there was more to the land below us.
Nope. There were some theories about it, like to the north being connected to Sinnoh. But no one thought that there was area to the south.
I mean, everyone thinks that Paldea is connected to Kalos because France is connected to Spain. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I actually think that's a very strong chance. So when the game first came out, and they actually not before the game, or before the game came out, they first released the map, and I saw the giant crater that is Paldea's Great Crater. My first thought was that was where the weapon from Kalos struck.
Mm-hmm.
So when they fired back in the Great War of Pokemon, when they fired the weapon of life and death that was fueled by Xerneas and Yveltal, that was the remains of the land that got targeted. And there's also a whole bunch of other stuff around of like you find dragons and Kalos based Pokemon on that uh, east side of the map near where that grayed out area is. And it's like that's
Indeed.
because it's where they kind of blend in and migrate from. So those are the two things that I think that area is. If it's not Kalos, it's some DMZ between Kalos and Paldea.
Could be. But I'm more interested for a DLC. The Paradox legendaries that we saw in those books. That's what I'm looking forward to. You remember seeing those?
I'm interested. I don't remember actually seeing Paradox
We saw
legendaries.
we saw a paradox form of Suicune and Virizion within the Scarlet and Violet books.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. I know which ones you're talking about now. It's going to be interesting to see what they do because they absolutely should add more Paradox Mons to the game because that's obviously the central point of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've been going back and forth, and it's like I would love to see. I was actually just talking about this with chat. I would love to see Arctozolt, Arctovish, and Dracozolt. I would love to see their original forms because they're two completely different fossils stuck together and revived. I would
Mm-hmm.
love to see the four original forms of those fossils.
Well, it would make sense because this is the second generation where they haven't actually introduced new fossils. First it was Sword and Shield. I mean, first it was Sun and Moon, and now it's Scarlet and Violet. So actually that point actually brings up a really cool topic. I mean, actually seeing the OG forms of those fossils may be from Paldea, so that would actually be really cool to see.
I think really any of the fossils they could go, especially for the past Paradox Mons for Scarlet, they could go and because when you do the revive process, you think that we've been told this is exactly what they looked like way back when. Now that we've revived them, but even in most mythologies that exist where fossil restoration is a thing, or even in our own world, we get things wrong with the fossils and what we think their structure looked like and what they would have actually been. Like the idea that we thought dinosaurs were lizards for a long time turns out they're chickens. Um,
Pretty much. Like I
so
actually
what would those Pokemon really have looked like? Like was Kabutops like that, or did it have two razor fins on its back and it crawled on all fours?
yeah, like I saw like this video of these guys that like digitally redesigned scenes from Jurassic Park with what the dinosaurs would have possibly looked like instead of their, Jurassic counterparts. And some of them are really freaking funny, especially the Velociraptor, because you think it's this giant man-eating lizard thing. Turns out it was pretty much shorter up to my knee, and it's like a little chicken.
Right. So it looks like, not to address a question that's not there, but Alyssa's asking in chat if what about the future mons? Well, the future mons they always have more leeway with, because aside from the paradox mons, we haven't seen anything from the future of Pokemon. Um,
I mean, a lot of people are saying that the future paradox Pokemon are actually, man-made versions of all of Pokemon that are extinct in that time period.
right. So they could really be. It's really harder to like pin down what future paradox mons we would like to see. I think that they should lean into like grass and ground types, because obviously if you're moving into a futuristic civilization and you're looking at a whole bunch of, again, a whole bunch of different mythos, you get this urbanization and stuff that happens that usually kills off the vegetation in the land,
Mm-hmm.
as they find new ways to sustain themselves. So it'd be all of the grass types and the ground types that are most affected by that, or even the water types, for instance. So I think that that's where I would see them lean, and you would have these synthesized, solar-powered grass types. There's the artist on Twitter and Instagram and stuff that's doing his renditions of them, and he's got the Meganium, the solar panel Meganium model that he made. That, like, 100% yes, please give us that.
Yeah, like I'm seeing some guy on TikTok create these new past and futuristic paradox looking Pokemon. And they're like, wow, these guys are really talented. So, I mean, they make obviously.
Did you see the Greninja?
I did, and I don't like it.
No.
No, I don't. I'm sad to say I don't like it. Not one
No.
bit. Don't mess with perfection. The Goth Frog did not need to be changed.
I think that artist has done a wonderful job with all of his designs. And again, like something like that Meganium, where you get these solar powered grass types, or hydroelectric water types, like a Whalmer with a hydroelectric dam underneath it.
That makes no sense.
I don't know what makes sense. We're talking about the past and future of Pokemon. We literally just time traveled, dude.
We are talking about Pokemon, so it's never supposed to make sense.
Yeah.
All right. Steering away from like Scarlet and Violet and the DLCs and Pokemon Day. We got some recent news regarding the Pokemon anime. We finally know when the brand new series that no longer involves Ash Ketchum is finally going to premiere. The episodes are going to start premiering on April 14th, 2023. So we only have basically 2 months left of Ash's journey in the anime. I don't know how caught up you are with the Japanese sub or dub of the anime, but right now we're going through some Days of Future Past with Pokemon. Brock and Misty are back, and we're revisiting some of Ash's oldest Pokemon, and it's like giving us like a nice like send off recap to Ash's entire journey. I mean, he's bringing back Pokemon we haven't seen in a long time, like his Noivern, his Sceptile, his Leavanny. Even Charizard and Bulbasaur just reappeared in the newest episode of the Japanese series. So, like I said,
Caught up on it.
Huh?
Sorry, I was just gonna comment. I'm not caught up on it. I haven't watched the episodes, but I do understand that's where they're at in the anime, with him winning the Masters 8 and finally achieving his goal of being the best Pokemon trainer in the world. So,
but yet he lost to Misty.
And yet he lost to Misty. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, he's
But
not
he
the best
wasn't-
Pokemon trainer in the world. He hasn't gone back and refought Tobias.
Don't even get me started on him. Don't even get me started.
I want to know what his third legendary was.
He screwed Ash. They brought that character in to specifically screw Ash because he should have won that league, but no. They just had to bring in this guy with a Darkrai and a Latios to take the title. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
They have a very long, it's really nice to see he finally won the Masters 8, and they really gave him this super culmination of his journey of beating the undefeated champion, and finally, making his way through this. It's not just him winning a Pokemon League, right? If he had won in Sinnoh and taken the crown in the Pokemon League, like, yeah, he's the champion of Sinnoh, but they really gave him the proper send off of making him the most powerful trainer in the world by winning this champion of champions.
I mean,
So
I'm gonna hold my thoughts as to the anime stuff regarding his team because he could have done a lot better, but I'm gonna hold that
oh yeah.
back. But as as now 20 plus year olds who have grown up watching Pokemon, what is your what do you feel when it comes to Ash's journey finally coming to a close? Like, are you finally relieved that we're finally getting some new protagonists in a new series, or are you upset that the journey of this kid that we grew up with is finally coming to an end?
Well, it's really a complex question. Like, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make sure they bring in a new audience, and they don't want to connect with this guy who has all this past experience. And it really showed in this last series where we met and re-met all of these characters that he's interacted with before in the Sun and Moon anime, and in the Pokemon Journeys, where we re-met Misty and Brock, and they had their battles with Mega Pokemon and things like that in Sun and Moon. And then continuing into Journeys, there's the number of people that they re-met. There's this story that we know and we finally get to see bring to a culmination, that the new generation of soon to be Pokemon masters that want to get involved in the anime and the games, and like they need their own story. So I am, it is sad to see Ash finally go, but thinking about it in the way we just did, where he could have won it in Sinnoh, he could have won it in Kalos, he could have absolutely destroyed Alon, but they wrapped it up by making him the champion of champions, and they gave him a proper send off, and I think that it is time for him to hang up his hat, um, and that we can pass the torch down to someone new that will inspire the next generation of Pokemon masters, because we're already inspired. You and I and all the nerds here in chat, we're already inspired to be Pokemon masters, uh,
Indeed.
and the new generation needs a fresh face and an empty story, a blank slate. So I'm excited to see where they take it.
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way that you do when it comes to Ash finally coming to a close, because like we desperately needed some new needed some new material for a long time, but then at the same time, for us who grew up with this kid, it's like his journey's finally coming to a close, and it's kind of difficult to understand how you want to feel. So I feel pretty much the same way that you do regarding this topic. Like like I've always had my love hate relationship with Ash Ketchum, but finally seeing him finally win the big one, it just, I mean, I honestly didn't know if they would pull the trigger on it or not. But when we finally saw that they did, it's like, finally, dude, you got it.
Right. Well, and they also gave him. I mean, they put all of the story elements in place that he really needed, which was giving him a partner in Go that had a dream just as big, that didn't conflict with him. Because I mean, I think the last time they did this was either Dawn or Serena, who wanted to be the contest champion. But I mean, everybody knows within the world of Pokemon how kind of infinitesimally small that goal is. He's never had anybody with as grand of an aspiration as him, to journey alongside of him, and Go wanting to be this next Pokemon researcher and knowing the things about the world and finding all the legendary Pokemon really gave him a journey he could go on and build. Um, and not give us this point where he had to join a new trainer with no experience and wonder, does fire type beat grass type every the start of every season. So
Uh, yeah. The anime has definitely given us some crazy moments and some stupid moments, but overall, I mean, after all, at the end of the day, it is a kids show, so you gotta keep that in mind when you're like, say, like, this is so stupid, but at the same time, it's made for kids.
well, and to the point of the comments he's made in seasons past, where he's like, that's a fire type. I wonder what it's weak to, or the really dumb, like, you already know this. You've been through 4 fucking Pokemon tournaments. Is
You're
the
allowed to
the
curse.
idea.
You're allowed to curse. I
I
don't
do
care.
that to myself. I do that to myself. You've been through 4 fucking tournaments already, dude. You know that fire is weak to, or grass is weak to fire. Like, stop sending your Sceptile into Slugmas. Um,
Except all the slugmas.
but it's always bugged us, and people have voiced out about that. But now we can get this new character in who's literally starting their journey for the first time. So when they say, "Does water beat fire?" It's like, that's a genuine question for a 10-year-old to ask who's never ever held a Pokeball in their life.
Based on looks, do you think the girl's Ash's daughter, or is this just somebody completely new?
I don't really have I don't really have a pig in that race, because they are still tying up Ash's story, and we know that when they did the promos, and again, I'm not caught up on the anime itself and what they're actually doing. When they did the promos, Gary asked him, "Well, what does it mean to you to be a Pokemon Master? Like, you've won the Masters 8 tournament, but like, does that mean you've accomplished your goal?" And so I don't know with what time they have left. With 2 months from now is when they're going to release the new anime. That means we have a month, maybe a month and a half of Ash,
Mm-hmm.
um, before they give a small hiatus and run the new show. Um, how much time is going to pass in Ash's journey between now and then? Because
Well,
we've got
obvious.
20 years of him not aging a day.
I was just about to bring that up. Like, I think like at the very last episode of this new series, they're gonna do some form of time skip, and we'll get some, you know, finally seeing this kid finally grow up.
And if that happens, there's a very strong likelihood that the child is Ash's. But I don't think that it's anywhere near set in stone. I think that this could be. I think it would make sense for it to be a kid from Pallet Town, but at the same time, it's probably gonna be a kid from Paldea. I mean,
More than likely. I mean, Ash can obviously move the Paldea, but I mean, yeah. But if the kid is Ash's, we're not gonna open up the can of worms as to who's the mom, because we don't want to like open up a can of worms of Poke shipping right now.
ship fight. Sorry.
I only support 2 Poke shippings, and that's it. Otherwise, I'm out of the game.
I didn't really watch enough of the anime to. I only have one ship.
I watched pretty
And
much
that
every single. I've watched pretty much every single episode of the anime, and and to this day, I live to regret ever spending a single second watching the black and white anime. The games were great. The anime was fucking garbage.
Looking forward to it though. It's gonna be nice to see a new journey.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so now we're at the point of the stream where I like to ask the guest of, the guest tonight, what is like, do you have any like plans or goals that you'd like to meet within the next year, or just overall goals on either your content creator journey that you wish to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the goals that I have are they're very typical goals. I don't have the number exactly in front of me, but I'm less than 10 followers away from 400. So 400 is not my goal for the year.
If there is
I
10
would
people in this chat not following Nomivore, do it right now.
I think it'd be really cool to strive for 1,000 followers before the end of the year. I don't really have a number for that for subs, because those they come and go, and
Yeah.
my perception of that as a very small content creator is a little skewed right now, because I had one viewer come in and be an absolute maniac, um, to where at least 1/5 of my total viewership was subscribed, because they were nuts.
Yeah,
Um,
like
so knowing that's not possible, I don't have a subscriber number, and then I'm looking to build my YouTube. Um,
mhm.
Currently only like 56 followers, something like that, but I've only just started. I'm trying to get a workflow together for putting out content. And as much as we're on the pokeNERDS contest, and I'm not pokeNERDS podcast, and I'm not going to dwell on this too long. I am looking to diversify my content a little bit more as well. So I'm going to start playing some games that aren't actually Pokemon content. I've started playing Viva Pinata um, on my Sundays and stuff, but I'm also going to diversify the types of hunts that I'm doing in Pokemon. I need to finish a Soul Link that I have with my best friend Scotty.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was playing Pokemon Wilds for a little bit, so I want to start diversifying away from just being a shiny hunter within and without of Pokemon. So, and
Yeah.
using that to create content for YouTube and have that channel grow. I don't have a number for that, um, but I just want to start seeing myself improve my workflows and what I'm able to put out.
Yeah. All in all, like, I mean, I pretty much almost had the same goals. I mean, I never really pay attention to my subscriber count on Twitch because, like you said, they come and go. So, me personally, in terms of like followers, I like to hit 2,500 by the end of 2023. I mean, I don't know if it will happen ever since I rebranded, but we'll see if it does happen. Above all, I really want to go to TwitchCon this year. I mean, I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's like the like rumored location out in Vegas or if it's still out in California. I don't care where it is. I want to go.
Well, if it's out in Vegas, I can almost guarantee you I'll be there.
I mean, there was a thing floating around Twitter for a little bit about where it was, and I mean, whether it's true or not is yet to be determined. But as soon as I can buy a ticket, I'm going to be buying a ticket.
I'm very fortunate that my IRL job has given me has put it straight. I got a pay raise recently, so I've been put in a position where I can start cutting down debts and building nest eggs and stuff. But my wife and I are expecting later this year, so we're gonna deal with the complexities that come with starting to raise a child and
Mm-hmm.
how that melds into building our community and the content and all of that. So we're looking at expanding all kinds of stuff.
Actually, I'm trying to contain myself because I actually didn't know your wife was expecting. So seriously, congratulations.
Oh well, thank you. It is not like you're welcome to react however you want. There's no secret here. This is we've put this out into the world, so I speak of it semi casually now. I appreciate the congratulations from you and your chat. I see the words in chat.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But yeah, in terms of like, in terms of like in terms of like goals I have for my podcast, I definitely want to get 2 seasons out of the way, which is why I'm really glad that like again, guys, my original guest for tonight, unfortunately dropped out, and I asked Andrew what he was up to, and he graciously stepped up to the game. So seriously, again, Nomivore, thank you for stepping up again and being a part of this because I'm trying to get podcasts out every couple of weeks. So it just means a lot to me that you were able to, come in tonight and have a chat with us.
well, I'm glad to be. This is, if correct me if I'm wrong, episode 3, right?
Yep.
So I'm glad to be here at the front of what you're trying to build and what you're trying to do because your content has always been fun. You're such a charismatic guy whenever you're on stream, and to be at the front of something that you're trying to build, I couldn't be happier to be able to be here. When you asked me, my only consideration was, will I have the time? And obviously I run everything by my wife. So is it okay if I sit down for a couple hours after I stream and chat with such a wonderful member of our community, someone trying to build all of this stuff. So thank you for the opportunity to be here, and get my name out there, and B, help you have a hopefully a fun show.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine. All right, I think it's time we found someone to raid tonight. Who's live for Victoria's Violets right now? Because we're both on the same team. Who's live for Victoria's Violets?
Marpy is on. It looks like. It's your wife for letting you come on. I appreciate it, and I will let her know. Let me see if I've got anybody else that I'm following that is Victorious Violet.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start a new tradition with you, where you pick the raid target, where the guest picks the raid target, because I have to keep everything on this screen to a certain way, otherwise they can't see you. So it'd be better for you to
Right.
pick a raid target than me.
So it looks like we've got Oh, is Basil? No, Basil's not participating. So I've got two in mind. We've got Smarpy, and then there's VS Envy.
VS
Both
Envy.
on, yeah, both on Violet. VS Envy's got looks like 9 viewers right now. So I think if we flooded them with another, double their viewer count for the day, I think they'd probably be pretty happy
I
about
think
that.
I've been in Smarpies before, but I don't think I've been in Envy's chat before.
I've been into VS Envy's a couple of times, so let me open them up again and see. So they're definitely a more chill chat, a chill vibe, PNG tuber, it looks like. So, but Smarpy's a pretty high energy chat. So it kind of depends on which one you'd want to send to.
I tend to like to rate people with the lower view count. I mean, on special occasions, I'll rate into people with on higher counts, but I like to spread the love with lower view count channels.
Absolutely.
All right, so I got Envy. All right, I got Envy's thing pulled up. So we're gonna start the raid here very momentarily, my goons and my fellow pokeNERDS. All right, so we're gonna get that started up. All right, so again, everybody, thank you all so much, my fellow pokeNERDS, for tuning in to this episode of the pokeNERDS Incorporated podcast. And again, thank you so much to our guest Nomivore for taking part in the podcast. If you guys want to follow him, his link's in the chat. He's getting close to 400 followers, so that would be amazing if you guys could help us do that. So, what do you do for your outro? What do you say?
I'm not very systematic about it,
All right, well.
unfortunately.
I'll give you a little preview of what I do. So, here's what I say. Thank you all so much for tuning into the stream tonight. And as always, stay safe, stay strong, stay tuned for more Pokemon exclusive content. And as always, this has been the Top Goon, your man Spence. Beast out. I'll see you in the raid. Y'all have a good night. Then I put my hand in front of the camera and do the scene transition.
Go for it.
Well, again, hope you all have a great night. Nomivore, take us home.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you much for joining us. Have a wonderful night. We're going to go hit out this raid. Spence, I think we do a beast out here, right?
Beast out.
Beast out, y'all. Have a wonderful night.